Food is medicine. It's such an interesting one. Obviously, we all think food is medicine, medicine is food. I really think our bodies are the medicine.
Welcome to a space where healthy food not only makes you feel good, it warms your heart and soul with love. Learn how to turn local organic produce into mouth-watering meals that nourish your body and soul. This is the art of cooking from the heart.
One of the things about chocolate that I love is we hold ourselves out to be healthy here. We've actually been declared the healthiest restaurant in America. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I'm telling you, we are in the team photo because I'm the only restaurant we can find 100% organic, vegan, 100% gluten-free, 100% soy-free. There's not another restaurant I've ever been able to find that can say that. One of the things about health in my own personal journey is when I started realizing that we could get protein from spirulina, for instance, instead of meat, I switched to 100%. I was already vegetarian at the time, but I thought, wow, this is something pretty good. I'll add this superfood to my smoothies in the morning. And then I found out about, moringa tree and some of the Chinese herbs and some of the Amazonian herbs, and started putting all those into my smoothies. And now they've got, lucuma and mesquite and maca, and Dragon Herbs has got this great product called Tonic Alchemy. It's got 91 different ingredients in it. Each one of them is loaded with vitamins and minerals, so that goes in my smoothies every day. And for a long, long time, it was chocolate in my smoothies every day. And people think, well, golly, you did that to make it taste good, or you did that because it brings out the little kid in you. Actually, chocolate is the most potent superfood in the whole world. Now, you all sitting here might already know that. But if you look at the ORAC scale, where like acai is way up there, it's like 600 or 800, and blueberries are way up there in that same category, and that's really way up there. Like other things get out of the 20s, 30s, and 50s, they're in the hundreds. Raw cacao, raw organic cacao is 13,500. It's like the scale goes like this, and it goes choo, and there's nothing in between. And now there are some ways that you can alter cacao and get even higher, but it's the highest naturally occurring food in the world in the ORAC scale. And there are other supplements. I've seen scales that have different supplements that are higher, but as far as a raw ingredient, it's number one. And so chocolate was going into my smoothies as well, but again, it has to be raw, it has to be organic. It's adding milk and adding sugar to chocolate that makes it a junk food. But we don't do that.
Do you want to know how to be a magician in the kitchen? Take one pie and turn it into 3 other flavors. That's exactly what we're going to learn to do in this episode of The Art of Cooking from the Heart. With the chocolate mousse pie base, we're going to understand how to make a hazelnut, mint, and persimmon pie as well. In order to do this, we're going to need to have a round edge tart pan, a food processor, and a Vitamix blender. We'll start by making our crust. To make the crust, we'll need 4 cups of toasted hazelnuts, 2 cups of coconut flakes, 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, 2 tablespoons of agave nectar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/3 cup of cacao powder, and 1 1/2 tablespoons of coconut oil. We'll blend all of that together in the food processor, press it into our tart pan, and place it into the refrigerator to make sure that everything is set up while we make our filling. For the chocolate mousse pie, which will be the base, we will need 2 cups of coconut cream, 2 avocados, 1 1/2 cup of cacao powder, 3 cups of water, 1 cup of maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a pinch of salt. We'll throw all of that together in the Vitamix blender and mix it until it's incredibly smooth. Then we'll take it out, we'll place it into that crust, and we'll put it into the freezer. This entire recipe can be found in our recipe booklet in more depth, as can all of the variations, including the hazelnut, the mint, and the persimmon. In order to make the hazelnut, we'll just swap out the vanilla extract with some hazelnut extract. The mint would be swapping out the vanilla for some mint oil, But the persimmon we're going to go into more detail over throughout the rest of this episode.
So I'm going to make chocolate pudding pie. And I told you before we did this, it takes like 3 minutes or less to do this. Now, I've got 4 of the main ingredients already measured out, but I need 3 cups of water in the blender.
Can you tell us again what's in the crust?
In this crust, it's different from the recipe that's on your page. The recipe on your page is how we make the chocolate hazelnut pie in the restaurant. This is kind of like my go-to everyday crust for almost anything. Once I tell you this, you'll never forget it. It's 1 cup of almonds, 1 cup of coconut flakes, and 1 cup of dates. Can you use cashew? Can you use Brazil nuts? Can you use almost any nut? Yes. Can you use maple syrup? You can use other things. The dates add not only the sweetness, but the stickiness too. So if you're going to go with something else, maple syrup might work 1 for 1. Maybe you have to add a little bit more coconut to put some more fiber in there to make it. But that's a pretty easy recipe to remember, and you never have to forget it.
Yeah.
So we're just going to take a couple of avocados. I'm going to score them a little bit.
Yeah. Can you tell us what you're putting in?
Cacao and maple syrup and vanilla.
And this is
Coconut cream.
is that fresh coconut flakes or is that
This coconut cream,
coconut cream?
you can get it in a few places, pinch of salt. We get ours from a place in Sedona called Chocolate Persimmon. It's almost ready already. It's a little bit more. What are you cutting here, Dave? Cutting persimmon, and we're going to blend them up and then cook them, so they don't have to be perfect. And you can see that some of them I left the skin on because the skin's got a ton of pectin. Go ahead.
Brilliant.
Now this is enough batter for 3 pies. So we're just going to let it go here. Perfect. Perfect. Now, one of the things that we discovered kind of early on was that we can let this set and serve it, and then the next day the water's kind of draining out of the rest of the pot. It's got a 1-day shelf life. So we learned that if we freeze it and then frost it, then we can cut it and it stays firm for about 7 days, which these never last 7 days. We cut a pie, we serve it today, or maybe the last piece or 2 goes tomorrow. So we're going to put this in the freezer. This is what we're making you in order. This is the chocolate pie that just went into the freezer. So we're going to let that defrost a little bit, and then we're going to serve you. This is the chocolate mint pie, and this is the chocolate persimmon pie. So I'm going to do the persimmon part now.
So for anyone who isn't familiar with persimmon, what is it and what does it taste like?
Well, you know what? Thanks for asking. I'm going to pass them out. They're amazing.
Yeah.
These are the Kuyus, and they're sweet and delicious right now.
And
know, the first time I served one to my family, they were like, "What the heck is persimmon?"
My favorite. I don't know why I'm at $1 for like 1 month in November.
This is a fall food in this territory. We're going to make a really quick persimmon pudding, which is just amazing on its own. You can make a jam out of this. We're making a pie filling. So I just zested 1 lemon. And if you ever have a recipe that you're going to blend, it calls for the juice of a lemon. I don't just put the whole lemon in it. We're going to blend it, and now it's more of a whole fruit. Does that make sense? And the seeds and everything go in there, doesn't matter. And I'm going to add a little bit of water, a little bit of sugar. Now this is what's in this pie.
Yeah.
This is the persimmon, and it's already ready.
Chef, how did you know it was ready? How did you know it was ready?
You can see the thickness of it. You can see the, it's almost like we added a thickening agent like corn syrup or pectin, but we didn't. In other words, this is a fruit juice, so to speak. And you can see how it keeps it formed there. It's not really coming, it's not like a liquid. Now, what we just did with persimmon, you can do that with any fruit. So you can do a chocolate pie with raspberry on top, or strawberry, or cherries, or peaches, whatever's in season. Or some of these cacti fruit are really amazing as well. Depending on which one it is, you might have to add a little bit more sugar, but they're amazing as well and really fabulous foods.
Seriously good.
This is the persimmons.
It's chocolate persimmon. We cooked some of the persimmon pudding, the persimmon jam, so to speak, and you'll see on the pie here, there's the chocolate pudding pie is just all chocolate. The chocolate mint is all chocolate and mint with a little bit of coconut topping, so you can tell the difference between the two. And then the third one is chocolate pudding, and then a layer of the persimmon pudding on top.
The mint was my favorite, and I usually liked it.
By the
Like
way,
a really good ice cream.
that mint that I used, I made enough for 3 pies. Now you obviously only had 1 piece from 1 pie. For 3 pies, I used 10 drops of essential oil. Very small mint. And I thought it was even a little too much mint. I would have probably, if I do it again, probably use 8 drops.
Smell it.
So Nicole's going to do a black fig today. She's going to cut out one of this.
Okay. Do it now? Okay.
We're going to move these out. I see what they're talking about here. We've got to move these out of the way here.
Okay. I'm gonna use this.
Okay.
Is that good?
Just putting a toasted almond in there.
Mine.
A little peanut butter.
If I don't have a little
Squeeze it
plate.
together. Dipping in
Dip it in
chocolate.
chocolate. And then
They take like 10 seconds. And so you can do a whole tray of these in about 5 minutes. And I have proof.